How you doing, guys? Welcome back. It's LSP. It's currently the 26th of August 2022. This is following on from yesterday's analysis. I made a reference to this level down here at number 6. Just comes in at just under 20,000 on Bitcoin. Now, before I get into any of the analysis, it's important to note, and I want to show you this chart here. Obviously, you guys will remember this chart's been, I haven't changed this chart. I haven't looked at this chart for quite some time. I've always believed that this was going to be the narrative. And you can see that I pretty much nailed the high, on this swing point. And then obviously price is continuing, on this trajectory, which I've been expecting for quite some time. So obviously, the reason I want to kind of really emphasize this chart is because this liquidity pull down here, price continues to drive lower. The first place it's going to go for, is obviously below this low. But we are expecting, 15,883 if it really starts to accelerate. So for now, seems to be unfolding according to plan. Let's go back over to chart number 2. I'll just show you the 4-hour chart again. And I want to bring your attention to something on the hourly, which is a little telltale sign that we are probably going to start to grind lower for the remainder of this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, which is probably when we're going to get that kind of, unless this is reversed today, then I think we're just going to continue to bleed lower towards this number 6, and then we can kind of watch the reaction, see what happens, so on, all the usual good stuff. But if I just drop down to the hourly, I want to bring your attention to this. So when Powell was talking and some of the numbers were released today, I did post a tweet about this saying, just to be mindful of those kind of numbers and releases. You can see the first initial response was to go up, so price started to accelerate, and then it sharply reversed in one candle, the entire move, neutralized it, voided it, and now we're continuing to the downside. This is a really good indication, that price had absolutely no intention of going higher in the first place, and it solidifies that the consolidation, this kind of grinding sideways that it has been doing, it solidifies, that it's just effectively gearing up or coiling to continue going lower and continue the downward pressure, downward momentum. And then obviously, just to throw it in there as well in terms of the Mt. Gox sort of hack, and in terms of that, 140,000 or so Bitcoin being flooded into the market. I have no idea how that's going to happen. I don't know, whether those payments are going to be coming to, those investors that were affected by the hack back in 2013. Whether or not that's actually going to be soon, tomorrow, next month, the month after, next year, who knows? But apparently we're pretty close to that. So we have to be aware that there is going to be some Bitcoin, flooding the market. And that Bitcoin was purchased at the time around about $120 all the way up to $1,200. And obviously we're currently sitting around about sort of 20,000, give or take. I know personally, if I was given Bitcoin and I was in a pretty bad way, and I was sitting on, a couple of $100,000 of profit, I'd be selling. So again, just be mindful of this. Obviously, many, many things can change, but it doesn't change the narrative. It doesn't change things. It just solidifies and adds one more, component into the mix for this kind of downward pressure. So that's Bitcoin. And obviously with Bitcoin running lower, then we would expect Binance to be doing the same. So obviously Binance showing a little bit more strength, but it is starting to kind of wane a little bit. And there's something that I want to bring your attention to in terms of Binance and the correlation between Binance and Bitcoin. If we just zoom in just a little bit and we look at the exasperated moves of Binance relative to Bitcoin, you'll start to notice something. And this is why this move here isn't as strong as you think it is when you're looking at Binance. Now, this may very well change, and Binance may show through confirmation that this indeed does want to hold, and it may start to drive towards 360 to 400. Fine, we'll see it before it happens. But the most important thing in terms of exasperated moves is if you take this point right here and you see this movement to the upside on Bitcoin, and then you take roughly the same sort of area, right? So this was roughly the 7th of December, give or take. And then if we go over here and we go back to sort of the 7th of December, I'm trying to encapsulate this kind of movement to the upside here. Look at the aggressive volatility, okay, of Binance when that happened. So when Bitcoin was grinding, it paused a little bit, then it has started to accelerate. You'll notice Binance didn't do that. Binance just exploded to the upside, and then it got a little bit volatile here, and then it exploded to the upside again. Bitcoin didn't. It ramped up. There's a facilitation of trade. There's more volume. There's more buys. There's more sells. It's more fluid. There's more volume, and so on. And it makes Binance look stronger than it actually is. okay, during that time, during this movement. If you look at the downward movement here, you see that it's much more volatile, much more aggressive, and much more elongated, the range in terms of the range and the correlation between the ranges on Bitcoin and Binance is way, way higher, on Binance. And this is something that we need to take into consideration. And it's always been the case. If you take a look at this movement on Bitcoin from this swing point to this high, or the all-time high, you'll notice that Binance's move is again more accelerated, more sort of pronounced. The ranges are larger. And again, in terms of the correlation between the range on Bitcoin and the range on Binance, Binance has always kind of shown that ability to be able to really run ahead, and stretch those ranges out a little bit. So it's just something to note, something to be mindful of. If we just drop down to some of the lower time frames on Binance, just kind of zoom out a little bit on the 4-hour chart, just want to show you. So we had this kind of grinding to the upside, and this is that movement on Binance that we're trying to figure out whether or not it's strength or whether or not it's just kind of this inflated going up on air and just kind of waiting for the broader market to catch up. And you can see it's pretty neutral, and in the sense of the way it's going up, it's calm, there's no craziness going on. But then it starts to kind of round off a little bit up here, so it loses steam, starts to dry up liquidity. Drops, a little bit of grinding to the side. Obviously there's that movement to the upside and then the reversal today. Now, if we start to get below these lows, and I'm going to start to put some key levels on the chart. Where is the, sorry guys. It's up here. Okay, that's fine. So I want to put something on the chart here. Okay, so we've got some liquidity below there, and I want to bring your attention to this area right here, which is a key level, and I want to see whether or not we get close to this. So that's roughly coming in around about sort of 270, easily done if Bitcoin really starts to go. So this is a key level, and the reason I made a reference to these two lows here is because there's liquidity build up here, there's a small imbalance, and then obviously I've got that first level here at sort of 221. So it is possible that as we start to go here, and this is the key, that it accelerates into 271. That's what we're looking for. We want to see acceleration into this level. If it grinds and grinds, that actually is worse in terms of any hope of bullish sentiment, because the quicker it gets down there and snaps into this level, the more likely it is to react and reverse and hold this movement to the upside that it's done already. Now, if this is the first part of that grinding to the downside as it starts to run, we're highly likely to see 200, and then obviously if we see 200, the move's going to be pretty much voided, and then we can expect that low level of sort of 148. But for now, I'm not going to go into it too much. I'm personally sitting on the sidelines, as you guys know. I'm not looking for anything special. I'm not looking to get involved. I'm just looking for confirmation of what I believe is going to happen in the marketplace, and until then, I'm quite happy to just sit back and let the markets unfold. Please be aware that September is going to be a very volatile month. I do believe that we've towards the end of the month, depending on what price does and the kind of run up to the US interest rate hike, we'll see whether or not price is giving us an indication of whether it's front running that announcement or not. But there's plenty of news to come out from now until then, so just be aware of that, be patient. Obviously have a plan. I'm not telling you guys what to do, I'm just telling you what I'm looking for and why I'm being so patient. So with all of that said, guys, I hope everyone's having an absolutely fantastic day or evening wherever you are in the world. I look forward to speaking to you very, very soon. All the best. Ciao for now.